to our advantage to be able to do stuff ourselves are available to us.
This is adjustable float switch.
Oh, floats.
Yeah, float switch holder. You could drill it out to be a probe switch holder.
Yeah, that's one thing. It's too small for probe.
Comes on the tank or sits over the tank and tighten it down. And this is adjustable up and down. Two L-shaped bends. That's it. Drill your holes. Take a router to route this out.
Make the screws loose enough, and that in itself could be the flow control.
Yeah. He's cutting that.
Huh? So it's already been set, the depth of it was already been set up in here.
Okay. I was going to say, how do you know how far to go?
I also have a black mark on the bit that I marked, so I know that I'm going down deep enough on it.
Gotcha.
So you're basically just following the line and going down slowly, right?
Yep. If you go too fast with it, it's just going to heat up and it just sticks at the blade.
That's how you guys are going at low RPM.
Yep.
They are very, very hot for a few minutes, so yeah. I made the mistake using this rebel about something. This is the wrong way. That's something my back is very hot.
Suggested you use safety glasses to do it. Like anything else that's not there, you guys are talking about it is very short. You're going to be doing this at home. We'll be doing the adjustments. I do safety for a living, so I see it. Laying it out, tape measure so everything's nice and even. You can do any kind, you can spell your name if you want to. It's pretty much this guy. And if you don't have a drill press, $20 hand drill, Sears. Anything will work. Actually, I'm going to grab pieces of saw, anything,
You have to flip it on the other side to clean it out.
Well, because it's a unibit, yeah.
right there will give you a very close.
It's a unibit, it's a step down or step up bit.
Step up bit is just so convenient. You get a small hole or a big hole, you're not sitting there changing bits out. It does really do the best for cutting. You're not putting out shit in your
What's that?
So I have one at home. I want to use it for something.
Make sure you get a quality one though. I've made the mistake of buying one of the cheapy ones. They don't last.
Yeah.
Especially if you use them on anything other than plastic.
You know,
Gotcha.
if you're going to do a one-time project, you might can cheap out a little bit, but you know, like with anything, you get what you pay for. And I'm in the construction field, so tools we pay for because we use them a lot. The right tool for the right job will save you so much headaches. It really will. Instead of being over there being frustrated, and mad, and irritated, you just sit back.
So there you go. That would
That's
be
one thing that we're really fortunate here is we've got the right tools to do it. So that's one of the reasons why we chose this place.
Nice,
It
excellent.
makes it easier on us to show you. But
sure-
anything that we're
make sure you
doing
see it
here,
so you
you
can
can set
put
up
up
in
the
your
lines.
anything.
Look, they're a little off.
I have a friend of mine that even has one of these and he, a drill.
After you get your overflow box bent, you can cut these notches in it with the table saw if you want. You see this first notch here? I did that. The reason it did that is because this gap is so big. With this gap being big, it catches the Lexan or acrylic and it'll break it. So what you want to do is you can get another piece of Lexan or whatever that you have, and you need to make that gap smaller. You tape this down. We use double-sided tape. Tape it down, and then you'll be able to cut these edges
Yeah, the thinner your material
as
is,
wide or as skinny as you want. So that's a good trick.
Kind of like guidance, huh, or something.
Yeah, well, it takes this gap away.
right,
When you're trying to cut something that small,
thin, easy breakable.
yeah, it grabs it and brings it down into that groove. So it'll shatter it down there. Well, if you put this on top, of it, the easiest way to do it is you could bring your saw down,
Yeah.
stick it on here. Remember, if you're going to use this, you have to make sure that it's all the way
Square.
pretty much over here. That way it doesn't interfere with when you're pulling it back and forth.
A simple clamp it down and run the blade up.
And then slowly run your blade up and it'll cut a groove like this.
Sweet.
And then you just have enough groove for your blade to pull through, and it makes a nice backstop for the material to rest on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that when the
And it
teeth
won't
grab
pull it
it, it
down.
won't jerk it down into the tool.
It's a pretty good tip right
So
there.
when you're working with really thin stuff, that really will help you out.
And you can also router these.
Yeah.
I haven't routed them. Jason's routed them. So
That's what
He
this
could
is,
tell
a
you
router
about that.
table. It's just real simple. You'll turn the router on and you'll just ease straight down into it. You can make you a jig, 2x4 clamped on either side and make nice and straight lines. But you're just going to run it right up on the router, pull it back, move it over. It's a real simple process. And we're going to use the router table and show you how to do a tank. To get really smooth edges, you always want to have a ball bearing on there that keeps you from gouging your material. It's kind of an important little piece there.
yeah, there's different bits.
Yep.
A bunch of them have ball bearings. That's if you're gonna do something like this, you need the ball bearing on there to run it across. See how it won't dig in? You can run it all the way around, it won't dig in. If you don't have the ball bearing on there, it's gonna
Gouge right into it.
So what?
Got bearing on the top, some of them have on the bottom.
What if you don't have a table router? You have a hand router. How would you go attempt something like this?
It's a
If you don't, you take your hand router and mount it underneath your table.
That is a hand router.
This is a hand router.
Well, I mean,
this
well, you don't have the
we
table
just-
to mount
we
it
just
on.
made
Yeah,
this.
but I mean, you can take your router and go along the top of something that bearing is going to follow the edge of whatever you're going with. You can hand route them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bearing's just gonna
The
follow
difference
edge along.
between a hand router and a table router is that with the table router, you're moving the material along the router. Okay, with
router,
a
you're-
hand router, you're clamping the material stationary and running
Right.
around the outside.
Okay, I have a hand router. I don't have a table router. But
So, but you can also go to Lowe's, Home Depot, Sears. They make these little tables for
Real
hand
small,
routers.
okay.
They're about this big, and I think they're like $30. You can put it on there.
It has a clamping system. You can just clamp it right under.
Yeah.
it sounds like a winner. All right.
If you got time, you can build it.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna cost more.
Yeah, I think
You know what? You're
If
right.
you're doing a hand router, you either need to clamp your material down, or if you don't want any clamp marks on it, you put a piece of board between that and your clamp. Or for $3 at Walmart, you can buy this stuff that's made to keep your dishes from sliding around in your cabinet.
You know, like
It looks like a
like a
bed.
mesh.
Yeah.
that
And
you lay
stick it
down in, like in
and-
your cabinets at home. That
Yeah.
works really good too because it makes it a non-skid surface.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm advising you to clamp it down because it will kick back on you
Yeah.
and it hurts.
And that's the same thing with table saw. If you have a dull bit on there, you're gonna rip material, no matter what. So you're gonna have to have a good
sharp
blade on there.
Okay.
See that?
Can we,
That's a piece of acrylic kickback from about 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Good.
It'll get you.
Some of those wrappings.
Get down, child.
And I had gloves on it.
To simulate the inside of your tank. So I'm going to go ahead and clamp it up while he shows you that and get set up so we can just move straight into it. But I just wanted to show you that I'm not going to work with a clean piece. We took a piece of sandpaper to it. Just like if you was to run some sand in behind your magnet plug. Scratch it up.
Or knock down the rock wall.
Yeah, get the rock wall over. Like this.
What kind of buffing compound is it?
Oh, we'll get into that in a minute, but it's right there on the table. And believe it or not, you'll never guess what I bought that.
I'm a friend.
So there's no jig or anything involved in bending that thing, you just melt it.
This is like
You have the straight line of the heating element is what basically
Yeah.
determines what
Yeah.
exactly.
That's where I bought my acrylic compound, the container store.
This holds
Container
it right
store.
here, so you make it to whatever depth you want. And then you're gonna just wait for this to heat up. You gotta make sure that you're pulling it off because it'll bubble, start bubbling. So you have to give it a little air gap sometimes if it's too hot. We set it up last night, it should be good.
And by bubbling, this is what he's talking about here. We got this one too hot last night.
Pull the back off of it so they can actually see.
And I've always found that the thicker acrylics are the the thicker the acrylic, the harder it is to bend without the bubbles. You got it, it's kind of an art to it.
And if you want, everybody, you can feel that as well on here. We got it way too hot in here. What we had is we had the paper down so we couldn't actually see what was happening on the other side. And so there's no way we're going to pull that out. So,
Is that still usable or is that done?
well, it's a scrap piece. I mean, there's still plenty on a big chunk like this. There's plenty of life left in this.
No, I mean, is
for
this-
access.
this-
No, that's done.
I mean, it's gonna be.
It's done. Yeah.
Okay.
A wire above and below so it just evenly through.
Well, you can do the same thing with this.
Yeah.
You can flip your.
Stay around here. Don't go too far.
It just gets tricky once if you're doing a tank and you got multiple bends.
If you're gonna do something like a tank, I would suggest you make it a wood mold.
Yeah.
That way you can heat your bins up and lay it over a piece of jig, basically, essentially. It's a square that you want to make, just build it out of a piece of plywood or 2x4, and then heat it up over that and let it lay down on there and just cool on it.
So, and this is essentially what we did last night with this thing here. This was just one long piece. We bent it right there, put it over the edge of the corners with it. Jason buffed these corners a little bit here, just to make it nice and clear them back up. Hit them with some map gas just to keep the edges nice and clear again. But this was one long sheet of stuff last night. So
You want to use map gas that burns hotter than propane. Also, you can use oxygen and map gas, and professional companies, they have. We're looking at buying an H2O flamer. It uses water. They're expensive, and then you can do a hydrogen oxygen. Hydrogen oxygen is what they would rather you use, but hydrogen gauge is like, or regulator is like $600 just for the regulator. So
Come over here.
oxygen's easy to come by, but the hydrogen they want a bunch of money for. Nah, I'm not gonna pay that.
It's like when I was bending PVC to match my aquarium. Yeah. Gotta go
Start
slow
things off.
Are you,
and
Would
annoying.
you leave that, just leave that sitting
Thing
there
is, you
like
have to
that
get
until
soft
it got
enough
hot
without
enough to
making
start
it big.
bending?
You can
Then
do
start
it. You
doing
can.
it, it'll bubble.
You can leave it, but you have to make sure that it doesn't bubble. Like the tank last night.
I'm a mom, I can't help it, sorry.
Propped up in the air gap, and we went over there and cut.
yeah.
Okay.
But that was,
Okay.
that was
Don't swallow it.
3/8 inch. Yeah. This is quarter, so you have to make sure. Now it depends on your heat element too.
You done?
Set out.
You want to spit it out?
You gotta reestablish.
Hold on.
I can take her to the
Yeah.
trash can.
No, I have a.
No, this is it brings it up
The
to
thing
there.
from the.
No worries.
So
Spit it out.
it's soft enough to bend now. All you do is stick your fingers here, and you're just gonna go.
That was fun.
You want to check it, you can always use a square.
Yeah, I bring it over here, and there's a square. A couple deals that we made up.
We get some air for you for time purposes.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, and obviously this is going to be pretty warm to touch on there.
yeah. This heat deal is going to be hot. Or where we
You,
heated
you
it.
could dunk this in some cold water or something. We're going to use this compressed air to blow the heat off of it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It works a lot better than me one.
Elizabeth.
Could you cool it off with water?
You can cool it off with water.
Okay.
That's the.
I'm even going as far as sticking it in the refrigerator.
Exactly.
Yeah, a 5-gallon bucket of water will do it really good too. That's what I use at my house.
Very professional.
Now, we did it like this. You could also make a wood jig. So when you got it hot enough, you slide it in there and just leave it alone. And it just stays in that wood jig.
Cool.
But I don't know if Jason's going to show you how to round the edges or.
I usually use a piece of sandpaper, or you can use a hand sander. We have a big sander over here.
Do you want to show them the gas on here? Just to clear up the edges on it now?
Yeah, if you notice that when we cut that, it fogs it out a little bit, turns it white, and we'll do what we call heat buffing. That's what the mask has to do, to bring that back clear.
So everybody see this edge on here, how white it is? Doesn't have that nice translucence to it?
That's basically the friction burn from the blade.
This is just matte gas that you can get from Home Depot. I got this set up from Home Depot. This setup's kind of expensive, or you can get one of those, which is cheaper.
Yeah, spider wrap.
But all you're gonna do is sit here. You don't want to go too fast or too slow, so it'll catch on fire. Yeah, it's just gonna.
You can still sand them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can sand it and polish it. But it got most of that white stuff off. You can see that it's kind of what do you call it? Shiny again.
Makes it clear.
This is kind of a bigger than what you need. You need an actual thin for something thin like this, but this works. I just put the jig back there. I'll clean it up. You can see that it came back to clear. You can see the holes. That little burn right there is from when we cut it on the router. The plastic stayed there, so that's what that burn is. But
Will that also smooth the edge off a little bit?
yeah, that'll make your edges smoother. Well, it's hot right now, but once it cools down, you can feel that it's smoother here. It's not going to smooth it completely. You can sand it, then polish it.
Want some earplugs, honey? I got earplugs. It's a little warm, but y'all want to look at it, more than welcome to. And then I'll go over here to the sander and clean it up, and make some rounded edges on it, and smooth it out a little bit. So it's kind of a three-part process. You're going to cut it, you're going to bend it, and then you're going to do a little bit of buffing with the sander.
With the sander or router?
The router we're going to use more or less on the cube. You can use a router if you prefer, But
Or I mean to get the smooth edges.
the smooth edges, you'd probably be better off using a sander. Even though this router is going to get you a nice clean edge, but it's still chopping into it the way it cuts. And it's very hard to see, but if you look on an angle, you can see the lines in here. So if you were going to glue this to another piece, you really don't have an even surface there. And the smoother your surface is, the better your joint glue is going to adhere to it. So I would recommend just hitting it with sand.